Hello, welcome to another character creation. This time we are joined by JimBoSox's.
Howdy.
This is for our Call of Cthulhu one-shot on Sunday for Extra Life Tabletop Weekend. And we're going to be running through the same module as Woody's, so a lot of the text will probably be the same, but we're just getting a character prepared for that eventuality, or for that session. So, are you ready, Jimbo?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. The sun is high in the sky, a merciful ball of heat. You feel scorched by the time you reach the bus halt in front of Osborne's drugstore. It's a relief to put down your heavy cases and take off your hat for a moment. You fan your face. It's been a long summer here, in your hometown, and yet a curiously empty one. You look across the street at the grubby butcher shop, the grocer's with his faded awning, and the shabby tobacconist. Mistrustful faces glare at you as they pass, eyeing your clothes and luggage. It was your parents' choice to live here, not yours. You were happy down south as a child, among Providence's white-walled houses and leafy churchyards. Perhaps this new job in Arkham will supply the change you need. Yet, everybody you know in the world lives here. You know nobody in Arkham, not one soul. You ask yourself one last time if you are doing the right thing. The answer is here. None of your supposed friends have come to see you off. You are alone. Whatever challenges lie in Arkham, it will be a new life and a brave one. A small gray motor coach approaches and rattles to a stop. You put your hat back on and pick up your cases. Two young men with sullen expressions alight from the coach. One looks you up and down before heading away. The driver also steps down, glancing at you before crossing the road to visit the tobacconist. When he returns, he's rolling his cigarette between his yellowed fingers. He gives it a final twist and examines you as he reaches for his matchbox. He is a thin man in his 50s, dressed in a stained shirt with the bus company emblem, yet his eyes are sharp in their dark sockets. Where to? You show him your ticket to Ossipee. From there, you will connect to Rochester and Portsmouth, before the coastal line to Newburyport, and finally Arkham. You should be able to afford a rail ticket for at least some of the way, otherwise this will be the first of many long bus trips. Trevor scratches the match and lights a cigarette. He end flares as he takes a draw, then he exhales and gestures to the back of the coach. Luggage rack is up there. Now that should pop up for you. You should see a screen, hopefully. So go ahead and look at your Investigator Sheets. At the top, kind of top right, you have a characteristics box with spots for 8 characteristics: strength, constitution, power, dexterity, appearance, size, intelligence, and education. And then you have some stats to fill. It's on a roll that's like a standard array kind of thing.
Right.
40, 50, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, and 80. So feel free to allocate those however you want. Start to get an idea of who your character is in your head. And if you need any explanations on what those mean, just let me know.
Okay. Okay, let's see here. So I can 40, 50, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 80. Okay.
Yeah, and any of these that have something like that or have a specific decision, or like multiple decisions, I will push those to you so you can see them.
Okay.
Although they're not showing up on my player version. Oh, there it goes. There we go. Your background noise, I apologize. I don't know what they're doing in my apartment building. And again, to set the scene, this is the mid to late 1920s. So keep that in mind for gathering objects and stuff. We'll say jobs will be like, for your investigator will be like a doctor or a professor, something along those lines. But
right.
why they have you pick stats and then class is interesting, but that's just the way it is in here.
Let's see. 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70. Okay, we're good there. Got the characteristics filled out. Yeah, am I clicking something after that's done, or? Hello?
Yes, my apologies. Yes.
Okay. Am I clicking something after I've allocated the numbers?
No, unfortunately, I have to do the clicking. Like, you can't
Okay.
click as the player. I tried earlier as player, and it didn't work.
Fair enough.
Okay. So the driver smokes and watches as you drag your cases to the back of the motor coach. The rack is set inconveniently high on the vehicle. You get a grip on the heavier case. What's your size?
Size is 50.
50? Okay. And size is just kind of general combined height and weight.
Right.
So you're a little bigger than Woody, who went 40 on size. Woody's going to be a small man. The driver continues to enjoy a cigarette, watching with keen interest as you struggle with the cases. You grit your teeth and heave the second one into place. Perhaps the residents of Arkham will have better manners. The driver flicks his cigarette into the gutter and steps into the motor coach. Its engine coughs to life. You board, grateful that you'll be the only passenger for the initial part of your trip at least. With mixed emotions, you watch from the window as the tired avenues of your old home slip behind you, receding into the distance. For a few minutes, you can still see the church spire over the brow of a low hill, then the road dips and it too is gone. Arkham is your new home. You'll travel there and make a new start. So to explain the boxes, you put all the figures in the big boxes, yeah?
Yeah.
So it autofilled the two smaller boxes next to you because we're using a PDF for that reason.
Right.
If you may have to do a hard roll, and that'll be a half value, which is that top small box. So, you're trying something that's kind of difficult, might be outside of your normal ability. I might call for that, and you have to meet or beat that roll. And also in Call of Cthulhu, you're actually trying to roll under. So you're trying to roll under, say, you said your size is 50. If it's something you need a hard roll for that, it'd be 25. But you have to be under 25. And then if you're trying to push like the boundaries of reality, like the kind of impossible thing, like you're trying to lift a car off of someone, that would be the lower number, which is divided by 5 of whatever that goal is, and you have to get under that to succeed.
Right. Okay.
So, if we were doing this pen and paper, you would have had to do all that math, but we're using a PDF. It does all that for us. It's way easier. You should also see sanity and magic points. It should be on the right, like a purple box and a green box.
Yeah.
Your sanity is equal to your original power. So whatever you figured for power, that's also your sanity. And then divide that by 5, and that's your beginning magic points. So go ahead and mark those on your sheet.
Okay. Sanity 50, magic points 10.
Okay. We will move on. The coach putters through the countryside. At first, the interior is stifling and your stomach lurches with every bend in the road. However, the driver opens his window, and by switching seats, you find a spot where the breeze hits your face. You soon relax into the journey, observing the quaint little hamlets that the coach serves. A heavy-set woman boards at one settlement and gives you a polite nod. She gets off at the next one. The road rises a little, passing cornfields and orchards. The leaves are turning, and the trees are alive with glorious reds and golds. You've just begun to doze when the driver takes a tight bend at speed. Okay, so if you could, for me, please, add your size and your con together.
Okay.
And then divide that by 10.
Okay.
And that is your hit points.
All right. 13.
13. Oh, there you go. And then next, we're going to calculate your luck score. So go ahead and roll 3d6 for me, please.
Oh, boy. Now comes the fun part. All right.
Oh, yeah. Rolls are starting.
Let me pull out my dice. I got my bag here. Hold on. All right. 3d6.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I got okay, so total would be 12.
12. So time that's by 5, so it's 60.
Okay.
And that's your luck. Or at least your beginning luck score. You may gain and lose some, depending on things. Go.
Gotcha.
All right, now we're going to make your first skill check of the game. And you should roll a dex save, or a dex roll for me. So roll a d100 and try and get under your dex.
Okay, so the D100, if I don't, how about that? I forget. It's been a while. How does that work?
Take your D10 with single digits and your D10 with double digits, and roll them both. And then your double digits is the tens digit, and your single digit is the ones digit. So I rolled... Wow, I did really bad. I rolled a 90 and a 0, so a 90.
Alright, let's see. Alright. Oh, God. I rolled a 90 and a 4. We don't use those dice again.
Nope. That sounds like a failure.
Yep.
I don't have your stats in front of me, so I'll have to, at least for this, take your word for it on... not that I doubt you, but I'll have to take your word on how these go. You failed our dex roll. A desperate yell awakens you. You feel yourself slide from the seat as the driver spins the wheel and the motor coach plunges off the road. Too late, you reach for the seat in front. You fall into the aisle and your ribs crash against the edge of the seat opposite. Breath rushes out of you. The coach stops with a thump. Your driver leaps from his seat into the road. As you sprawl, dizzy in the aisle, you hear a string of incendiary curses. The driver climbs back into the cab and sees you on the floor. He looks concerned and assists you back into your seat. You see what's happened now. A Fordson tractor stopped in the road. He had to swerve to avoid the steel obstacle. Sorry, he says. All them feels, he has to pick the road to park. You alright? You don't think anything's broken, but you'll have a colorful bruise for the next few days. He backs the coach up a little and threads it around the tractor, glaring at the farmer. So you do lose a hit point.
Okay.
Keep track of what the original value was. So you were 13?
Yeah.
Okay. Eventually you will heal up back up to this value, but if you drop to 0, you will fall unconscious and you might die.
Right.
Okay, I gotta send you this one now. You resume your journey. The driver takes the curves with more caution than before. He glances over his shoulder at you a couple of times. Sorry about before. That fella was dumber than a hog. I'm Silas. What's your name? The accident was at least as much Silas's fault as the farmer's. But it doesn't seem shrewd to antagonize a man while he's driving you through the middle of nowhere. So go ahead and make up your name and your age. Age generally about 23 to 36. Feel free to make up your name, put it on the sheet. There's a spot for age and sex. And I'm curious what name you pick, because Woody had one prepared, and it's a hell of a name.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see here.
And you can, just do whatever, have
Right.
fun, do something silly. Just remember, it is like a contemporary 1920s New England. It's not, you don't have to go Dragonborn or Elf.
Yeah. I have Dovahkiin. Let's go with... I'm using a random name generator to see if anything pops.
Sure.
Let's go with Philip Malone is going to be the character's name. Philip Malone.
Philip Malone, okay. And just, pick an age. That won't sound super important, but...
I'll just, 32.
32, okay. Oh, cool. My favorite word is in here. We're at that part. The coach turns onto a narrower road, which weaves uphill through the woodland. Silas becomes chatty. Going to Arkham, eh? Can't say I ever heard of the place. Went to Boston once. Didn't like it. Too much hustle and bustle. You got family there? Special someone waiting? The afternoon is wearing on. You see no harm in confiding in Silas about your new life. Job, eh? What's your line? So now you get to pick your occupation, kind of basically your class, kind of, sort of. You can be an antiquarian, a doctor of medicine, a journalist, a private investigator, or a professor.
That's good. It's Doctor of Medicine.
Doctor of medicine, okay. So Dr. Philip.
Dr. Malone.
Dr. Malone. You mentioned the residency you'll be taking up at St. Mary's Hospital. The institution is well regarded, and you're both thrilled and slightly uneasy at the range of patients and maladies it receives. Still, as an old professor of yours used to say, by practice alone can you become expert. Doctor, eh? Folks will always be needing those. Did you catch a note of distrust in Silas's voice, or are you just being paranoid? All right, so we're gonna be filling out the sheet a fair amount.
Okay.
So first of all, if you look below the bigger stuff to the investigator skills, your credit rating is 30%. Let me pull that out in the rules here. Credit rating is indicated for your wealth and class. More points spent on credit rating, the richer the character is. So at that range, your average, like reasonable level of comfort, credit rating is kind of down to lifestyle.
Okay.
All right, your occupation skills are first aid, and also please definitely have this one open. there's quite a bit of info on this one.
Yeah.
First aid, other language, Latin, medicine, psychology, science biology, science pharmacy, and you can pick 2 other skills that aren't Cthulhu mythos as relevant academic or personal specialties. And then you'll get to allocate the following values among these occupational skills, writing them in the large squares at each. 70, 2 60s, 3 50s, and 2 40s. And also, for the purposes of this, ignore those starting percentages.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just ignore those for the occupational ones. We'll get to that in a minute. But either check this, or if you need me to read them off again, let me know. Just sort of.
I'm going back and forth between the sheet and. Let's see. First aid.
Yeah, the 2 monitors help, but I kind of wish I had another at the moment.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back to 2 monitors whenever we do this live. Yeah. Psychology.
Which will be Sunday the 22nd.
Yes, for Tabletop Appreciation Weekend for Extra Life.
Yes, indeed.
Biology, science pharmacy. You know, I'm a pharmacy.
Yeah, and where you have 2, just like the first one's biology, second one's pharmacy, or however you want to do it. Just like fill in the blank underneath the next one.
And then whatever other 2 skills I'd like to have.
Yep.
So, okay. So where it's real quick, it says your credit rating skills 30%. Do I fill that in anywhere in the? Do I just write?
You fill them in the big boxes.
Okay, so I would write 30 in that big box.
Yep.
Okay, and then all right, so 2 other.
Yeah, so again, kind of this is where you can start kind of getting like your background in mind, or your like how what's your character good at is.
Right.
As a doctor, are you did you also take psychoanalysis? Did you have you also been an outdoorsman and you're good at like navigating and survival, like whatever other occupational or personal like hobbies might apply to one of these skills that you can give an extra boost to.
I got something in mind here, so I'm going to take fighting, brawl, and let's see here.
I'm curious on why your investigator is your doctor of medicine is also good at fighting.
Well, because he had to practice getting well at diagnosing and healing injuries. And the best way to do that sometimes is get your hands dirty and get in a fight. So
all right, I like it.
Was a roughneck growing up through high school and into university.
Okay.
And I'm also going to take intimidate as well.
Interesting.
So worst comes to worst, I can intimidate someone into thrown down.
Yeah, this is an interesting doctor you're creating.
Yeah, right. All right, so then I take the 70, 60, 60 and just allocate them to the various skills I chose. Okay, cool.
However you'd like.
Okay, so we're going to take medicine, and I'm going to make that. Okay, yeah, this is going to be funny. Okay, so fighting is going to be 60, because he was decent at fighting, but he did occasionally lose a fight. Because he had to learn what it was like. I'm just going to be safe to take medicine as 70. Let's see here. At 40 for Latin, because while he may have learned it and may have been proficient in it, he's forgotten it the amount of times he's been in a fight so far.
Yeah.
Right, and then I got the 350s left. Okay. So 50 to that, and then okay, and the 50 to the others. Okay. There we go.
All set?
Yep.
Okay. You realize Silas hasn't made a stop since the incident with the tractor. The motor coach winds its way uphill, however your thoughts are interrupted as the road crests a ridge and you are treated to a magnificent view of the vista below. A creek snakes through the valley, breaking the rich autumn palette of the tree line. In the distance, the white mountains rise into hazy cloud. There is no settlement, not even a cabin, as far as the eye can see. Birds drift through the treetops, and you can just make out what might be 2 white-tailed deer lingering by the water. Perhaps you're making a mistake by moving to the city. Could you survive on your own in this lush wilderness? You have a base ability in most skills, listed in brackets after the skill name on the Investigator Sheet. For instance, you have a 20% in climb and a base dodge equal to half your dex. So, let me push this to you as well, because I think we're about done with the sheet at this point. At least, creating the sheet.
Gotcha.
So, choose 4 skills, which are not your occupational skills, or Cthulhu Mythos. These are your personal interest skills. And then if you see all those base numbers beside them, the 4 skills that you pick boost those by 20%. So if you mechanical repair, you can make that 30% instead of 10. Occult, you can make it 25, etc. And for those 4 facts, write those down, and then the rest just fill in the number that's there. Except for things like dodge being half dex, language own being your education score.
Okay, let me think here.
Yeah. What do you like to do besides medicine and fighting?
Oh, well, accounting sounds like something I would do. So would I check that as well, or?
I don't think you check the boxes off, but just instead of writing a 5%, write 25.
25, okay.
Yeah.
And then, how many do I do this with?
4? 4. So you have 3 more if you did accounting first.
As a doctor who likes to get in fights, got to make sure I keep my financials situated, if you will.
It's fair.
I love this so far. I'm gonna take. It's like, well, if I can intimidate, I can fast talk. So that's a 20.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'd like to be able to learn how to. I think I'd be able to jump. Okay, so is that? Do I just write 25 in there as well?
No, jump is a base of 20%. You can see the percentage beside it.
Okay.
Add the 20% to that number. So jump would be 40%.
Okay. All right.
I think you have one more.
One more. Well, as a doctor, I have to be able to listen, so that would be 40% right there.
Okay. And then all the other ones just put in what that percentage is. So anthropology just a 1, appraise a 5, archaeology a 1, all the way through. And the ones that are blank, don't worry about it, because it's like the science one where if you had, I can paint, but I can also write poetry. You could write painting, poetry, and have stat blocks for that, for instance. But since there's nothing there, you don't have to worry about it. So just let me know when you have all of that filled out. And I think at that point, actually, I think at that point you could send me a picture, but don't do it till you have like all the boxes filled in, just so we have your character sheet in case anything happens. If something terrible happens in this adventure, we're not going to carry that over. We're going to start with this fresh sheet because it is very possible to die in this campaign, and technically you'd have to make a new investigator. We're not going to do that. We're not going to sit you through this hour-long thing. He dies, and then we're just going to make you a different character in private.
Gotcha.
I have a hand wave, don't worry. But just let me know when you have that done. And like I said, just take a screenshot or like save a copy of the PDF or something, just so we have in this version of the sheet, we can refer back to it, and so you can correct this stuff for later. Or should something happen and we have to redo the whole sheet, we have a record and it'll be a lot easier. Rather than having to, like, listen back to this.
Okay, yeah. Alright, yeah, I saved a copy.
Okay, cool. And just, like, at some point, just send me a screenshot of it so I've got yours, I've got Woody's already. But I think that's all the calculations we need, at least for now. You got everything's down, yeah.
Yeah, do you want me to just take a... Yeah.
Yeah.
Double check. Half dex, so my dex is 40, so 20.
Okay.
Forgot to put that in.
Yeah. I think the only other one is, like, language own is whatever your education is. I think that's the only kind of unusual one.
What would I fill in there? That would be...
English. It's the language you speak, unless you're going to not speak English for this.
And is there a number that goes in there? Or?
It's the same as your education score. So where we put in for EDU at the top is also how good you are at English.
Okay, I'm okay at English.
Oh, okay. It's all the fighting. It's all the fisticuffs.
Yeah, this is knock a few things loose. Okay. Do you want me to? Okay, yeah, I could take a...
Yeah, just in case, like, some of these pop up that you need to roll, having the number handy will help.
Okay. Let me see here.
Yes, I mean, beyond that, like, combat stuff we won't need. You have to worry about, like, cash and assets, gear and possessions. Like, there's not going to be a whole lot you'll need on the backstory page for now.
Right.
Just let me know when you're ready to move on to the next page.
Okay.
Because again, this is a choose your own adventure book. Like this, there would be a physical book that you would just do yourself. But rather than just give you guys a PDF, I thought it'd be fun to read it out and see what happens.
Give me a second. Let me send this to you.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm sending it to you through Discord.
Okay.
So he has it.
Yep.
Should be filled out appropriately.
Okay, let's see. Oh, for goodness sake. Phone. Yep, everything looks good to me.
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. So, the motor coach rattles on through the hills and Silas lapses into silence. The sky darkens behind you, pinks tinting at the clouds as the sun descends. Finally, a welcome sight comes into view, a settlement on the crest of a hill. This doesn't look like the pictures you've seen of Ossipee, but perhaps you can persuade Silas to stop while you stretch your legs. Minutes later, a harsh stuttering from the engine interrupts your reverie. Silas frowns and rattles a gear stick. Motor coach falters in his ascent. Silas utters a curse you don't recognize and grinds his teeth, struggling at the wheel. You seem to inch up the hill until you reach the first buildings, low dwellings constructed from a rough red stone. Silas wrestles the coach into a small bay off the road. He scrambles from his seat and makes for the engine compartment. So I need you to make a skill check, but I'll let you choose between psychology or drive auto.
Okay, let me take a look at my sheet.
Drive auto will be a normal roll. Psychology will be a hard success. So it'll be the half number.
Okay. All right, so I'll just do drive auto for this.
Okay.
All right, so roll a d20 and...
Nope. Roll a d100.
D100, right.
Yeah. All the skill checks are d100s in this game. I
Gotcha.
don't know if you'll really use a d20 much, honestly.
Okay.
I think a lot of the other dice end up being combat related.
37.
37? And what was your drive auto?
It's 20.
20. So that is a fail drive auto.
Yay.
Silas opens the engine compartment and sticks his head inside. The hot metal pops and sizzles. He pokes at various components and withdraws and wipes his brow, smearing it with dark grease. I ain't sure what's wrong. Might be the oil pressure, might be something knocked off kilter when we took that spill. Can't do much until the engine cools neither. With the light failing, reckon we'll be here through the night. Wipes his hand on a rag. The shadows from your surroundings are already long and the air is chilly. You feel stiff from the journey and a night in the rickety coat sounds unappealing. Silas sees your dismay. Well, this here is Emberhead, miles from any place. Only come through twice a week, but the folks here are good people. May Ledbetter keeps a spare room. She'll look after you. Up that alley, turn right, first house on the left. He scratches his cheek, looks his hand into the engine compartment, and spits on the ground. Meet me back here at 8 in the morning. We'll see how we stand. So I push that to you because you have a few options now. And if you'd like to look for May Ledbetter's house, you can ask Silas where he will spend the night, or you can challenge him about the breakdown.
Let's challenge him. Let's challenge him about the breakdown.
Challenge him about the breakdown. All right. You confront Silas with your suspicions. His brow darkens, and he shows a mouthful of twisted teeth. Ain't that just like you city types? Thinking the worst of a man after he's gone out of way to attend to your comfort. He stalks around to the back of the coach and hauls your bags from the rack, dumping them on the ground at your feet. Take them. Otherwise, he has to be accusing me of thievery in the morning. Marches off into the darkness, raging. It could have gone better.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You drag your cases between the sullen buildings. You feel surprisingly weary, considering you spent all day sitting down. Silas's directions lead you to a modest dwelling with a slate roof. The nameplate reads Ledbetter, and underneath a sign in neat copperplate reads Lodging Room. The lane around you is gloomy, but a lamp flickers in the window. A breeze chills your face. You're not about to begin your new life by sleeping in the street. You rap on the weather-beaten door. After a moment, you hear footsteps inside the house. A bolt is drawn back, and the wooden door swings open. A figure with loose curls and a rough-looking house dress peers at you. Her gaze takes in your traveling suit and your cases. Her voice has a slight Irish lilt, and at least for this, I'm not good at voices, so I'm just going to read it. Hello, should I take it as you're looking for a room for the night? You inquire as to her rate, suppressing a grimace. As far as you've seen, the village does not offer you many alternatives. Oh, you'll find them very reasonable, she says. You look tired. I may. Come inside, we'll have a talk over a cup of tea. Ledbetter House feels cramped with a low ceiling and simple fittings, but it is well kept and a cheerful fire crackles in the grate. The aroma of the tea is soothing and the cup warms your fingers. You come to Emberhead for the festival? If you'd rather explain what happened with Silas and the coach, or you can ask about the festival.
I'm going to ask about the festival.
Okay. Well, now, I suppose the festival is about the only reason folks come to Emberhead. I thought you'd maybe come to study it or take photographs. Well, it's not tomorrow night, but the night after. Suppose it looks very strange to a passerby. May tops up your tea, the spout chinks against your cup. We've got the beacon, you see. One night every year there's a torchlit procession, and we keep the beacon on the cliffs. You've never seen the like of it. And they say it keeps the spirit of the village alive for another year. The celebration. The celebration. He tails off for a moment and blinks. Well, you didn't come here to listen to me blather, and you must be hungry. I can rusty up a bit of stew. How would that be? He asks again about her rates, and May names a price so low you accept it without hesitation. The room is small but comfortable, and the stew dark and hearty. After dinner, you have a couple of hours before your usual bedtime. Would you like to talk to May some more? Walk around and get your bearings in the town, or turn in for an early night?
You know what? I'm going to, as a doctor, I'm going to turn in for an early night.
Okay. As May stands, you hear a clunk behind you. You look over your shoulder, but all you can see is a wooden door securely closed. May tuts, the young lady of the house. She'll have been listening to us. Ruth, come and greet our guest. There's a short pause, then the door creaks open. Two wide eyes peer at you from the gap, between tousled hair and a rough nightgown. What do you say? Eyes blink. Pleased to meet you. Get back to bed. Closes again. My daughter Ruth. 10 years this summer. She's a delight and a torment all in one. Don't worry, she sleeps in with me. She'll not disturb you. Good night now. You retire to your room. It's a little chilly, but you're too tired to worry about lighting the fire. The sheets are clean and the bed soon warms up. The silence outside is strange after living in a town for so long, but you soon drop off. You dream of fire in the grate, coruscating colors shimmering through the dancing tongues of flame. At first they are tiny, almost microscopic, but they grow, until a kaleidoscopic inferno spills from the fireplace, spreading across the floor, up the sheets. You wake with a start. Daylight glints through the curtains. You get up and examine the grate, blinking the sleep from your eyes. It's quite cold. You can heal that damage you took earlier.
Hey.
Because you did get a rest, so you do heal a damage, which is all you took. May seems to have no running water, but it has supplied some in a ceramic jug. You freshen up at the washstand and go in. She cooks a hearty breakfast and leaves you in peace to eat. About 7:30, you're paid up, packed, and ready to go. You bid May goodbye, and she wishes you the best for your new career in Arkham. You're already tired of your heavy bags. Hopefully Silas has repaired the motor coach, and you can resume your long journey. A sourpuss he might be, but the old driver seems to understand his vehicle well enough. You pause to check your watch, still 20 minutes early, and round the final corner. And the motor coach is gone.
Uh-oh.
You put your bags down and search the area, trekking up and down slopes and around corners. You enter the village, you trace a long road back as it winds across the hills. 8 o'clock comes and goes. There's no coach to be seen. Passing villager notices your bags. Looking for the bus? I heard him take off at first light. He's back in 3 or 4 days. Need a place to stay? May Ledbetter rents a room. Man raises his hat to you and strolls onto the village.
Okay.
Sorry, throat's getting a little dry. You curse Silas under your breath. Perhaps he went for parts. But you wonder if the old goat has stranded you here on purpose. I believe this is supposed to be May, so I'm going to push that page to you.
Okay.
May's doing laundry and looks surprised to see you again. You forget something? When you explain the situation, she offers to store your bags while you try to arrange alternative transport. You're grateful to relinquish the load. Nobody here has anything like a car. She strokes her chin and narrows her eyes. Maybe you could find somebody with a horse and cart for your bags. I could ask around later. Try Mr. Winters at the village hall. He'll know if anyone will. Or ask among the artisans. Their workshops are first left on Silbury Street. She reaches over and squeezes your wrist. Don't worry, I won't see you sleeping in the street, money or no money. You thank May and turn to face the village.
It's a nice little village.
My apologies.
No worries.
You wander the streets of Emberhead without any particular destination in mind. The village is built upon a relatively flat upland with splendid views. To the north, the hazy tips of the White Mountains reach for the heavens. To the south, the sparkling waters of Lake Winnipesaukee touch the horizon. The village itself takes less than 5 minutes to cross from edge to edge. You have arrived on the winding road to the west. The only other road leads to the south, following a lower ridge of land as it turns east. To the southwest of the village, an open grassy space borders a ruined church, its graveyard cresting the cliffs. To the northeast, the three main thoroughfares meet at a raised black metal structure. It looms, stark against the blue sky. So if you scroll down, I've given you some options now. You may now ask about transport at the local general store, seek out the village hall, walk down to the lower level and check out the eastern road, examine that large metal structure, explore the church, or look for local people with their own transport needs.
Let's explore the church.
Explore the church. There's a roll coming up I haven't seen before. You cross the street towards the church. As you glance to your left, your gaze alights on the large metal structure. Something bothers you about its positioning. You back up and look again. Yes, Emberhead's central thoroughfare points directly at the structure. It seems too precise to be a coincidence. Yet you press on, and you draw into the shadow of the church. The building is in a sorry state. The top of the steeple is missing, a ragged gash of splintered boards marking its absence, and the floors beneath it have collapsed. It appears to have torn through the roof of the main building as it fell. Only the back half is still intact. The white paint, which once covered the church, has yellowed and peeled. It seems safe enough to explore the rear section. Old pews are stacked against the wall, choked with mildew. Most of the windows are broken. You guess this church has been disused for about 20 years. There's a little more interest to you. I need you to make a ride roll for me, but you do get a bonus die. So,
Okay.
What I want you to do is make your roll and then roll your 10s percentile dice again and take the lower result between the two. Essentially, it's advantage. But you only have to re-roll the 10s.
Okay. 5. Okay, so 23.
23, and that was not something you took as a thing, was it?
No.
No,
No.
that's a fail, huh?
Yep.
All right. You're beginning to get your bearings in Emberhead. Would you like to explore some more? So you have up to 3 more options. You can stop at any time, but you have up to 3 more options. So you can't repeat anything.
Right.
So you can go to transport the local general store. You can seek out the village hall. You can walk to the lower level, check out the eastern road, examine the structure, or look for local people with their own transport needs.
Let's go to the general store.
General store. General store is on a corner beside the main road, just before it plunges to the south. Shopkeeper is a brisk, immense lady with a starched apron and strong shoulders. She looks hard at your unfamiliar face. Transport? There's a motor coach comes through twice a week. Ah, you missed it. Well, truck brings in my supplies every second Tuesday, but he's not due until next week. He shrugs. Seems Emberhead is content to keep his distance from the outside world. And you do have enough money on you to buy 1 or 2 inexpensive everyday items here that you can note down, but remember it is 1927, so no cell phones, Xbox 360s, nothing like that. It's it has to be period appropriate.
Right.
The only thing you find close that might be a weapon, if that's the kind of thing you're thinking of, is a dusty hunting knife, which you can purchase. But other than that, just if there's any everyday items you think you might need. If not, no big deal. But give me the option of shopping while you're here.
Yeah, a shopping episode. Here we go. Let's see here. Would there be any medical supplies, like any gauze or any elixirs or anything at this location?
I'd say you'd be able to find some gauze and probably like hydrogen peroxide or something along those lines.
Right.
Like a disinfectant. I think those are pretty easy to find.
Yeah, I'd like to purchase some of those.
Okay. If you want, you can mark those down on the inventory of your character sheet. In your gear and possessions.
Okay.
That is all we're going to be able to find at the general store. So, again, you have the option to explore some more. You have the village hall, the eastern road, or like the lower level in the eastern road, the structure, and look for locals with their own transport needs. Or we can move on.
Let's do one more thing. Let's check out the large metal structure.
Look at that structure. Okay. You walk up the approach, the most central of the village's major streets. It points directly at the odd metal structure. As you emerge from the shade of the nearby buildings, you are greeted by a magnificent panorama spread from the north to the southeast. The last colors of fall tint the hills in a sleepy gold. The structure, by contrast, is made from uncompromising iron, singed black. It supports an immense curved platform at a level of your head. Further struts snake up to a central point. It looks like they may have been some kind of sculpture at one time, but are now twisted and melted beyond recognition. An older gentleman passes, looking up at you with rheumy eyes. Are you here for the festival? He asks. That's the beacon. When they light it, night after next, you'll be able to see it 10 miles away. He gives a little nod of satisfaction, then moves on, leaning on his walking stick. Now you notice the bundles of wood tied and stacked against the buildings nearby. Perhaps this festival will be an interesting diversion, but you really must head to Arkham as soon as possible. Make a spot hidden roll.
Okay. Spot hidden. Spot hidden's 25. That is a 17.
Oh, you succeeded.
Hey.
As you walk away from the iron structure, you notice something strange about the construction of the village. All the wooden dwellings are concentrated in the west and southwest. To the east and northeast, closest to the beacon, the buildings are formed from dark brick and clay. Does this mean that the settlement began at the beacon and spread west? You may checkmark the small box beside the spot hidden skill. I think that means you can use experience to build that later if we were doing more.
Right. Okay.
It probably won't come up, but I think it might be. I think you can level up as we go. I think from what I've read, but I'm not that far into all the rules of Call of Cthulhu. Okay,
gotcha.
So you have one more choice. Village hall, lower level, local transport, or we can just move on.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Your morning exertions have left you hungry. You roam the streets of Emberhead looking for sustenance. There's nothing resembling the busy cafes of your hometown, or anything that might be called a restaurant. It's beginning to look like you'll have to get supplies from the general store when May Ledbetter comes down the street with a girl trailing in her wake. This must be Ruth. As she notices you, she races past her mother and approaches you with a smile. This is a different Ruth from the shy creature of last night. As she reaches you, she stops and stretches her arms up in celebration. She looks up into your eyes. Abruptly, the smile drops from her face and she looks several years older. Get out before the festival, she hisses. Get out. She blinks hard, then scuttles back towards her mother. May approaches, wrapping an arm around her daughter's shoulders. She smiles. How are you getting on? Have you found transport? Startled, you explain the frustrations of the situation. I tried Mr. Winters in the village hall. He's always in of an afternoon. You'll be hungry by now. Help yourself to any food in the house. The door's not locked. You glance at Ruth, where she has scrolled herself behind her mother's leg. Her eyes implore you to silence. You may ask Ruth about what she said. You can ask May about what Ruth said. Or you can say nothing.
I'm going to say nothing.
You're going to say nothing. You take your leave of the Ledbetters and head towards their house. The door opens easily. In the low kitchen, you make a meal from stodgy bread and leftover stew. A little window offers a view of the mountains. You learned one thing this morning. It was that Emberhead streets hold little to occupy the visitor from out of town. There are still about 5 hours of daylight remaining. You can take some provisions and the bare essentials from your luggage and set out in the hope of reaching another settlement before dark. Or you could ask advice from this Mr. Winters. So would you like to try to leave or try to seek out the village hall?
Let's try to seek out the village hall.
Okay. The village hall overlooks the lower north ridge of the village. You walk along Silbury Street to find it, conscious of the oppressive black metal structure framed at the end of the road. The shutters of the hall are open and some windows left ajar. There's no knocker, but a little bell over the entrance tinkles as you push the front door. Inside, a sturdy door to your right is marked Private. To your left, an opening leads through to a bright room. You take a few steps inside. Benches line the walls, and there are 2 notice boards mounted between the windows. You can examine those notice boards or knock on the door.
Let's knock on the door.
Knock on the door. You raise your hand to knock on the door, but it opens before you can complete the movement. Middle-aged gentleman behind it takes an involuntary step back, adjusting his spectacles as he probably finds you hand up. You hasten to apologize and introduce yourself. He steadies himself and peers at you. I see. I'm Clyde Winters. Just visiting, you say? You've come to see me? Care for some coffee? I usually take a cup around this time of the afternoon. This invitation seems genuine enough and a good opportunity to ask any questions that are on your mind. You step through the door marked Private. The other side of the village hall is in marked contrast to the public space. The room is compact, lined with shelves of books and file alcoves. One corner is reserved for a tiny pantry and what is presumably a water closet. You study Mr. Winters as he fills a percolator. Although thin on top, his hair is oiled and neatly swept back. The suit is a sober affair and well-tailored, even if the cut is a little old-fashioned. A lesser man working alone might have loosened his bow tie for comfort. On the desk against the opposite wall, you notice what looks like a telegraph set. Ask about the telegraph immediately, or you can make small talk with Mr. Winters first.
Let's make a little small talk.
Make a little small talk. The pot begins to gurgle as you exchange pleasantries with Winters. Living here? It's a trade-off, like so much in life. It looks past you at a high shelf. I could wish for access to a proper library, of course, but I know myself well enough. I'm strictly a dabbler, and the city's... Face wrinkles in distaste. Too many people. Everybody rushing and shouting. We have a special place here in Emberhead, and somebody must accept responsibility for keeping it so. That was my father before me, and now the duty falls to me. He lifts his chin and straightens up. This evening, as the sun sets, look out at the landscape around the village. We have peace up here, halfway to the stars. Are we not privileged? Is this not worth the hardships we must accept? He looks at you speculatively. Seems like a good time to ask about that telegraph.
Yeah, let's ask about it.
Yeah. The telegraph. Much as we value our isolation, we do need the link sometimes. Were you hoping to send a message? I must apologize. The line's been down for 2 weeks. I reported the fault, but of course they're not so speedy when the problem lies in a rural area. I'm expecting a repair the day after next. I do appreciate how frustrating this must be. The coach is due in, 3 days? But I think he's going west. Right? Perhaps he might engage a wagon. One of the farmers might... Explain that you've asked a few of the residents already, but to no avail. I'll tell you what. Winters pours you a steaming cup of coffee. Dark liquid smells rich and strong. When the repair crew arrive, I'll ask them to take you back with them. How'd that be? Might want $1 or $2 to grease the wheels. The day after tomorrow. It's less than ideal, but it's the first real opportunity you've had. If you'd like to ask more about the library, or you can just thank him and head out.
I'll thank him and head out.
All right. As the light fades, you return to the Ledbetter house and eat a light supper. Mason, usually taciturn. Ruth's eyes flick to you several times during the meal. There's an urgency there you cannot quite interpret. Afterwards, May ushers the little girl into their room. You've been at Emberhead for barely one whole day, and you already feel confined by it, both geographically and socially. Evening seems to offer little. So you can do some stargazing, or you can talk to Ruth.
You know what? Let's talk to Ruth.
Okay. In time, May returns to the kitchen and busies herself clearing up. To speak to Ruth, you'll need to get May to leave for a short while. You help with the dishes and try to think of some ruse. In time, an idea comes to you, and you ask about Silas and his friends in the village. May narrows her eyes. He knows Troy on the other side of town. Not sure I'd call them friends, more like an old feuding couple. He probably spent last night at Troy's place. You ask May if she could visit Troy and ask if Silas mentions any plans to return. May looks dubious. Right now? She asks. So without looking at your sheet, need you to help decide how best to influence May. Appeal to her emotions, planning how further delay threatens your career, or trying to rush her into compliance.
Appeal to her emotions.
Appeal to her emotions. So, if you could for me, please make a charm roll.
Okay.
Might be tough.
Yeah, 41.
41, that sounds like a failure.
Yes.
May frowns and shakes her head. I'll be happy to go see him in the morning. I must see to Ruth for now. She's been a terrible handful today. Her bedroom door closes with a heavy clunk. Familiar surroundings of your guest room are becoming constrictive. The neat bed, small wardrobe, and dressing mirror have the feel of a prison cell about them. What are you still doing here in Emberhead? Your new life is elsewhere. You lie on the bed and stare at a small crack in the ceiling. You turn over the day's events, thinking through the little details you spotted. You're certainly weary from the elevation and the fresh air, but do you still feel safe here? You can try to stay up, or you can fall asleep.
Or fall asleep.
Let yourself fall asleep. Your eyelids are heavy, and whatever your reservations, blackness soon takes you. You dream again of a fire in the grate, a small theater of lights twinkling a tiny drama. The flames seem to consume nothing, almost to hang in the air. A moment later, they are around your sleeping form, filling the room with flickering colors, blue, yellow, red, purple. You can dance on and around you, the little tongues brush your flesh. You drift awake in the morning light. The sun is already high, but you do not feel well rested. You find yourself preoccupied with the little details of the room, the wood grain of the door jamb, or a chipped handle on the wardrobe. You swing out of bed, your stomach gives a lurch, and you lean too far over, nearly tumbling to the floor. Blink for a moment. Perhaps you have an illness coming on. You get carefully to your feet. The air in your room is heavy and fragrant. You stare out of the window until you feel steady enough to leave. So your skill rolls today are actually going to have a penalty, so your rolls will be a disadvantage today.
Okay.
Because of whatever illness you have. So it'll be the same kind of thing. You'll roll the 10 percentage twice. This time you're taking the higher result.
Gotcha.
It will not apply to luck, sanity, or if there are damage rolls.
Okay.
The Ledbetter kitchen is empty. All the bread and eggs have been laid out for your breakfast. It's a note from May explaining she's taken Ruth out for a few hours. Make a quiet circuit of the village, pausing in unobtrusive places to watch the villagers. It's rather busy for this time in the morning. Yawning locals stream back and forward along the roads, carrying bundles of split logs to the side of what you've heard referred to as the beacon. You see two figures already up in its superstructure, arranging the wood. The festival bonfire will be most impressive, but do you intend to stay to see it? You suspect by now that something's amiss here. While the villagers are distracted, you may do some illicit investigation, or you may simply leave town without looking back. So you can search May's bedroom, go back to the village hall, take a closer look at that artisan's courtyard, spy on the activity in the beacon, or slip down to the east road and flee for good, and I will show you those options.
Okay, let's see here. This town is freaking me out enough. Let's slip down the road and flee for good.
All right. As you approach the southern road that descends to the lower ridge, you see 4 villagers blocking the route with farm tools and clubs. You veer off and head towards the west road. Your heart sinks as you see exactly the same scene at the other exit from the village. You're trapped. So you can try to talk your way past one of the guard groups, try to slip past it in a disguise, And I don't think we found out any other way out of the village, so those are your two options.
Okay, I'm gonna just try to talk my way past them.
Okay. Rehydrating, and here we go. Try to talk your way past. The southern group appears less sharp than the western group. You stride up to them and explain their need at the beacon. Like dubious, you offer to watch the road for them and hold your hand up for a pitchfork. Nah, you come with us. Make an extreme fast talk roll. So this is the 1/5 really tiny value under fast talk. And this is a skill check, so I'm going to need you to roll that 10s twice and take the higher number. They absolutely don't believe you so far.
67. So am I rolling the... Which one am I rolling again?
Roll the 10s again.
Okay.
If that is higher than...
it's a fail.
It's a fail.
Yeah.
These locals are not as stupid as you think. They grab you and march you back to the center of the village. The fading light from a narrow window tells you the afternoon is giving way to evening. Your hands are shackled behind your back, so you cannot even lie down on the rough bed. You've been captured. A woman you have not seen before comes in. Her face is wrinkled and her eyes dull. They do not meet yours, but she puts a cup to your lips. Would you like to accept the drink or reject it?
I'm going to reject that drink.
You're going to reject the drink. You turn your face away, and when she tries again, you dash the cup from her hands using the side of your head. The clear liquid spills across the floor. The woman gives a half shrug and turns to leave the room. You shout after her, but she gives no reaction. You soon become thirsty. As the light fades outside, your little prison becomes dark. You hear much activity around the building. Occasionally, an orange glow passes the window. The only comfortable position in the shackles seems to be to sit against the end of the bed with your arms hanging behind you. You need to concentrate and come up with a plan. There is clearly no escape from your bonds. You do not know exactly what your captors want from you, but you cannot ignore the fact that they have spent the entire day constructing a massive bonfire. The door scrapes, wrenching you back into the moment. Orange light spills into the house from blazing torches held at the threshold. Two large villagers step in and grab you. At least you assume they are villagers. They wear heavy black cloaks, and their faces and hands are painted entirely black, save only for a red triangle centered on their left eye. You try to drag your legs, but they reach under your arms and lift you bodily from the bed. Outside, it seems that the whole village has congregated to see you. Every single one has a blackened face with the red triangle motif. Torches sputter and spill fire. You struggle, but you can see physical resistance is hopeless. You march to the central street and turn to face the beacon. The procession down the approach is slow and formal, save when you sense weakness and yank at your captors. The chill touches you when you see 3 human shapes carried ahead of you, draped in red cloth. The beacon looms larger and larger, its dreadful silhouette a black triangle pointing to the stars. A low drone begins among the cloaked figures. Unbidden, the word mourners comes to mind. Smoke from their torches makes you cough. You feel heat on your face. As you reach the cleared area around the beacon, 3 dancers break from the pack, young girls swinging balls of fire in spectacular arcs, drawing circles in the night air. One by one, they draw close to you and touch your forehead with sooty fingers. Each kisses you 3 times. On the left cheek, the right cheek, then the forehead. Then they whisper in your ear. The smell of kerosene fills your nostrils. Make an appearance roll.
Appearance roll?
Yep.
And this is at...
It's still at penalty.
Oh, that one fell off. Let's do that again. Okay. Ah!
What?
Why did it have to be at a penalty? It's a fail. I rolled an 87 and then a 7. And
yeah. Through your sacrifice, the village will be reborn, says the first answer. You pass from earth to air for all our sakes, says the second. Through incandescence may you find rapture, says the third. Their dance weaves off and disappears behind the buildings. As you arrive beneath the beacon, 10 villagers close in on you. Working with surprising coordination, they immobilize you and lift you up the blackened iron stairs to the raised platform. You cannot help but shiver at the sight of the central framework, twisted from past blazes, and what you can now clearly see to be the fastening points for chain. None of the eyes meet yours as they lash you to the metal. The village sings now, something rhythmic and ancient, carved from odd syllables. A second group ascends to the beacon, carrying the 3 red-draped bodies. With reverence, they arrange their burdens in a triangle around your feet. Then they withdraw, leaving you alone with the dead, shin deep in a sea of kindling. You can see the S1. There is the beacon.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay. It seems the entire village has gathered around the beacon to watch you burn. Behind the face paint, you recognize May Ledbetter, and yes, that is Silas, the coach driver, standing at her side. The audacity and scale of the deception staggers you. The man steps up to the dais and raises his hand with quiet authority. The frame of his spectacles obscure the red triangle on his face. So we draw here together again on this night, as we do each year, and we give thanks to the one who will preserve the village against the fire of the void. You will be taken by the ones from above in our stead. Your death will bring life to our streets and bounty to our fields. It will safeguard our children and our elders alike for another year. We salute you. He bows his head. All around the beacon, bearers step forward and lift their torches to the edge of the raised platform. A ring of tiny flames flicker up around the perimeter. They wink, the singing of the villagers drops into an unearthly rhythm. You can wait and see what happens, or you can try to throw all your remaining strength against your bonds.
Let's throw the remaining strength against the bonds.
Okay. You're tired, and your flesh ought to be insufficient against the dark iron of the chains. You feel them give a little. There's weakness in one of the links. Make a hard strength roll, so it'll be half of your strength. What you're trying to beat.
Okay, so 30. Okay, and that's just a disadvantage.
It's still a disadvantage.
Okay. Don't fuck me. All right, that's another fail.
Ah, no.
I rolled a 24. Ooh. I was like, okay, and then a 64. So yeah, that's a hard.
That's a hard fail. That's our fail. Yeah. The flames snake across the kindling, catching and rising. Smoke rises, and it becomes difficult to see the villagers. The three bodies surrounding you catch fire, blazing with sooty red flames. You begin to cough as the smoke enters your lungs and fight down the urge to panic. Flames lick at your legs, your eyes water, you're shrouded in smoke. Might be your imagination, but you think you can feel a slight give in the chains still. You throw yourself against them, giving no thought how they bite into your wrists. So, the first thing is... Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to take 5 points of damage from the fire itself.
Okay.
And I know that doesn't kill you, because you're actually pretty hardy. So, go ahead and make a regular strength roll.
Okay.
Maybe a little easier from the first attempt, but not a hard roll this time.
Okay. Still at this.
Still a disadvantage.
Okay. 32, which would be...
And your regular strength, it sounds like a success.
Yeah, it's a 60, yeah, so yeah.
Alrighty. Desperation lends you strength, and you yank off what you gets to be the weak point in the chain. It breaks. You throw the chain off, stumbling across one of the red-shrouded corpses, heading away from the watching villagers. You cough, your hair and eyebrows smolder. So... I'm doing you no favors, my friend. 6 points of fire damage.
Oh,
I was rolling a 1d6. I hit a 5 and a 6. There's no pluses or anything. I just rolled really high, but you're still up.
Yep.
Still up. Okay.
Man, am I glad I took a decent Constitution.
Right.
Oh.
You leap from the conflagration on the far side of the beacon. Your heart lurches momentarily at the sight of the sheer drop beneath you. You land a few inches short of the edge. You roll to extinguish your burning clothes. Your lungs feel singed. Everything hurts. The chain of the villagers gathers in intensity. You peer around the beacon. They don't seem to have noticed your absence amidst the billowing smoke. Most of them are staring into the sky. You crawl as rapidly as you can for the cover of the nearest building. Oh, okay. That's... What the heck? Sorry, it's... weird things for me. Don't know why I need to read the next part. There we go. For some reason, it showed it's like minimized. I couldn't see anything. With the villagers assembled at the beacon, the streets are empty and you're able to pad away from the blaze. You must get out of town before they finish. The chanting seems to accelerate as you round the corner of the southern road. Here, parked against the side of the general store, you have your first piece of luck since reaching the Emberhead. Bicycle. You learned to ride one of these in Providence. You settle into the saddle. Your burned flesh protests at the contact. Do you want to just get out of here, or do you want to wait and observe the goings-on of the beacon?
I'm getting out of here.
Getting out of here. It takes a moment to recapture the skill of riding on a bicycle, but after the first turn to the east, there's a long downhill out of Emberhead. You hear screams and crackles above you, but concentrate on balancing and working the pedals in your weakened state. You've had too many hopes dashed in this abomination of a village. You keep your head down and ride away. 20 minutes later, with no signs of pursuit, you stop for a breather at the top of a hill. You can see Emberhead rise in the distance. The entire village appears to be ablaze. The dark column of smoke above it will be visible for many miles, but if the village is as isolated as it seems, help is unlikely to arrive in time. You watch the place burn for 5 minutes, and you mount the bicycle again and ride towards civilization and dawn. You have survived this adventure.
Oh, yeah, survive is the key word there.
Yeah. So for the hand wave to make this make sense and make it so you're not starting as basically dead. As you're feeling that breeze of cool air across your face, getting away from Emberhead, there's a sharp peal of a bell, and you wake up, and you are not in Emberhead. You are on the train just as it's arriving to Arkham. You have a telegraph amongst your possessions for a Rupert Merriweather to meet him at the local hospital at, I believe, 1 p.m. And we'll describe all this better in the actual game, but so we will figure out how you know Mr. Merriweather, and then we'll have your character ready for the next for the full session.
Okay.
So
do I heal back to full?
Yeah, heal back to full.
Okay.
Yeah, heal back to full. We will not keep you at 2 health. You will be fine. We will call this non-canon. It's your character creation, but the story is non-canon, essentially, for our purposes. Again, if you had failed and if you had died, the book says, well, make someone new. So we'll let you keep Philip, and we will see how it goes when it's the full game. And again, tune into that Sunday at we're not sure what time, but Sunday the 22nd of August. Or we'll probably upload the game on YouTube so you can watch that as well. Until then, y'all, have yourselves a good day.
Stay safe.